Story 1. Once upon a chilling night, in a quiet suburban neighborhood, lived a woman named Sarah. She was a kind-hearted, independent woman who enjoyed the solitude of her cozy home. Little did she know that tonight would be unlike any other. As the clock ticked toward midnight, Sarah was engrossed in a novel, lost in the world of words. The rain outside tapped on her windows, adding to the eerie atmosphere of the night. Suddenly, a loud creak echoed through the house, causing her heart to race. Sarah froze, her eyes darting around the room. The noise had come from the back door. Her breath quickened as she remembered locking it before settling down with her book. As Sarah frantically searches for a weapon, the lights in the house start flickering, casting eerie, stuttering shadows that make it even more difficult to discern what's happening around her. The rhythmic flickering intensifies her anxiety. There was no doubt now. Someone was trying to force their way in. Every creak of the floorboards outside the bedroom door sent shivers down her spine, and she could hear the intruder's heavy, labored breathing drawing closer. The sound was a menacing reminder that he was not only a stranger in her home, but a threat to her safety. Sarah's fear was not just of the physical harm he could inflict, but also the psychological torment of being violated in her own sanctuary. The thought of a stranger invading her personal space, rifling through her belongings, and violating her sense of security was a terror that struck at the core of her being. But she had no idea what was stored for her. Determined to protect herself, Sarah stealthily tiptoed to the closet where she kept her phone and dialed 911. She whispered her address to the dispatcher, her voice trembling with fear. While calling for help, she happens to catch a glimpse of the intruder. She notices that he wears a grotesque, nightmarish mask that conceals his face entirely. The mask is twisted into a horrifying, permanent grin, and its lifeless eyes seem to pierce through her soul. A man dressed as a clown was trying to enter the house. Her eyes were left wide open. There was news of a psychopath killer, dressed as a clown, was on a killing spree throughout town, his favorite victims being middle-aged women. She thought to herself, is this it? Can I survive this man, or is this the end for me? Meanwhile, the clown continued to wrestle with the back door. Each futile attempt sent shivers down Sarah's spine. She knew she had to find a way to stay safe until the police arrived. Silently, she retreated to the bedroom, locking the door behind her. She heard the intruder's footsteps drawing nearer. Panic clawed at her chest as she frantically scanned the room for something she could use as a weapon. With trembling hands, she grabbed a heavy flashlight from her nightstand and hid behind the bedroom door, her heart pounding like a drum. Sarah's hands trembled as she clutched the flashlight, her knuckles turning white from the force of her grip. She knew that if the intruder found her, she would be at his mercy, and the uncertainty of what he might do filled her with a paralyzing dread. The man, holding a large knife, finally managed to break into the house. He stepped cautiously into the dimly lit hallway, moving towards the bedroom. The intruder, despite his attempts to stay quiet, occasionally mutters incomprehensible phrases under his breath. His whispers are filled with malice and cruelty, sending shivers down Sarah's spine as she wonders what he might do to her. Sarah took a deep breath, trying to steady her trembling hands. As the intruder approached, she mustered all her courage and swung the flashlight with all her might. It connected with a loud thud, sending the intruder sprawling to the floor. With the clown incapacitated, Sarah wasted no time. She rushed out of the bedroom, locked the front door, and waited for the police to arrive. When the authorities finally arrived, they apprehended the would-be intruder and took him into custody. Sarah was safe, and her courage had prevailed. The man responsible of killing more than 10 women was finally behind the bars. The incident served as a reminder that in the face of danger, even the most peaceful of individuals can find their inner strength to protect themselves. Story 2. The moon cast an eerie glow through the dense canopy of trees as Emily ventured deeper into the heart of the ancient forest. She had always found solace in the woods, but tonight was different. An unsettling feeling had gnawed at her since she entered, as if unseen eyes were watching her every move. Emily's footsteps echoed through the silence, the only sound in the vast wilderness. The chill of the night air seeped into her bones, making her shiver as she hugged her jacket tighter. She knew she should have turned back, but curiosity drove her onward. As she walked deeper, the path grew narrower, the trees closing in like menacing sentinels. Suddenly, a twig snapped behind her. Emily spun around, her heart pounding in her chest. She saw nothing but the shadows of the trees. Must be an animal, she thought, trying to calm herself. But the unease lingered, intensifying with every step she took. She could hear the faint rustling of leaves and the ominous whisper of the wind. Emily heard the sound of approaching footsteps. She turned, her flashlight trembling in her hand, and was relieved to see a friendly-looking man emerging from the shadows. He was dressed in casual outdoor gear, a warm smile on his face. "Hello there," James said in a calm, soothing voice. "Are you lost? I know these woods like the back of my hand. I can help you find your way." Emily, her initial fear giving way to relief, explained how she had lost her sense of direction. James introduced himself and offered to guide her back to the main trail. For a while, Emily walked alongside James, feeling grateful for the chance encounter. They talked about the beauty of the forest and shared stories about their love for nature. James seemed friendly and genuine, and Emily's initial apprehension began to dissipate. However, as they continued deeper into the forest, Emily started to notice subtle signs that something was amiss. The path seemed to grow narrower and less defined. She had a feeling that something was wrong. James was the one who suggested this path, she said. This left her suspecting that something was wrong. Emily's voice quivered as she asked, "Who are you? What do you want?" The stranger only responded with a sinister grin that revealed a row of yellowed teeth. His silence sent a wave of dread coursing through Emily. With a surge of adrenaline, she knew she had to act quickly. She grabbed her backpack and flowed into the forest, her heart pounding with each step. James pursued her relentlessly, his crazed laughter echoing through the trees. As Emily sprinted through the wilderness, her mind raced for a way to escape. She knew the terrain better than her pursuer and used her knowledge to her advantage. She managed to elude James by hiding in a rocky crevice, her breath shallow and her heart racing. Hours passed, and the forest grew silent once more. Emily cautiously emerged from her hiding spot and made her way back to her campsite. She packed her essentials and continued hiking through the night, never looking back. Just when Emily thought she might have escaped her pursuer, the masked psychopath reappeared, seemingly impervious to the passage of time. His presence filled her with paralyzing fear. He whispered sinister threats and moved closer with each passing moment, his knife glinting with malevolence. It was clear he would stop at nothing to claim her. Emily's heart raced as she stumbled through the dense underbrush, her breath coming in ragged gasps. Behind her, the psychopath's relentless pursuit echoed through the forest. She could hear his heavy footsteps, growing closer with each passing second. In her frantic haste, Emily failed to notice the roots snaking across her path. She tripped and crashed to the forest floor, the air forced from her lungs. Desperation surged through her as she struggled to her feet, but the psychopath was almost upon her. She pushed herself harder, adrenaline surging through her veins. Her limbs ached, but she couldn't afford to stop. The forest seemed to conspire against her, the branches clawing at her, and the ground treacherous beneath her feet. Just when it seemed like he would grab her, Emily spotted a small rocky ravine up ahead. With a final burst of energy, she lunged forward, tumbling down the steep slope. The psychopath, caught off guard by her sudden escape route, stumbled and fell, letting out a furious roar. Emily hit the bottom of the ravine hard, her body bruised and battered. She winced in pain but forced herself to crawl into a small crevice in the rocks, praying that it would conceal her. She held her breath, listening to the psychopath's enraged shouts from above. Minutes stretched into eternity as she waited in the darkness, her heart pounding in her chest. The psychopath's footsteps grew fainter as he searched the area above, His curses carrying on the wind. Eventually, the forest fell silent, and Emily cautiously emerged from her hiding place. She knew she couldn't stay there forever, and with trembling legs, she began to make her way through the ravine, away from the relentless psychopath. As she continued her escape, Emily couldn't shake the feeling of being watched, as if the forest itself held secrets and malevolent forces. She knew she had narrowly escaped a horrifying fate. Finally, as the first light of dawn broke over the horizon, she reached a ranger station. Emily recounted her terrifying encounter with James to the park rangers, who immediately launched a search for the deranged man. They informed her that a number of incidents like her had happened in the past few months, and 2 lives had also been lost. The story the survivors told matched that of Emily. She lost her breath for a minute, imagining what could have happened to her if she wasn't careful enough. As Emily left the wilderness behind, she knew she had narrowly escaped a psychopath's clutches. Her solo hiking trip had turned into a harrowing ordeal, a chilling reminder that even in the serene beauty of nature, danger could lurk in unexpected places. You've made it this far, into the depths of darkness. You've uncovered the ancient secrets, faced your deepest fears, and now it's time for the final chapter. But remember, in the world of horror, there are no guarantees, except one. The power is in your hands. To escape this nightmare, to ensure you're never left alone in the dark again, there's only one thing you must do. Like and subscribe. Do it now. For in the world of horror, those who stand together are the ones who survive. Like and subscribe to join us in the shadows, if you dare.